It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Welcome in to the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. And it is a fine.com once you get there and you're registered. I think there's a few holes left. If you haven't got into a tournament, please do. There's 3 spots still open on the Super 7 Invitational. We got 25. We'd love to get to 28. There's 3 openings there. So if you've got an invite, which I know there's still some guys out there been talking to, if you want to get in, please do. We look forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Joining us today, we've got a great show. It is our Class 5 Top 20 Preseason Rankings show. I know some people might think it's a little early. I don't care. And for that reason, we have again with us today, Mr. Dave Wiggins from Webster Groves, the second place finisher in Class 5 last year. Dave, you ready for this?
Oh yeah, 2 days in a row, man. I feel like a regular now. This is awesome.
I think you are by now.
Oh yeah.
I think you are by now.
Yes.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
joining
ready,
it. He's joining us on the Prime Sports Midwest Call link, and we got to get this out of the way though, because Mitch over here hit us with some trivia thought process. You got some trivia for us?
Yeah, I was stumped by the Schwab last night.
Wait a minute.
All right.
If you know, we'll you got to hang to the end to get the answer if we don't answer it.
All right.
Comment and just do that, and then we'll come back to the trivia. Comment below, tell us what you think it is. Please let us know, and we'll see if anybody out there in TV land knows the answer too.
Let's go.
You like that? I'm old, man. TV land.
TV land.
TV land.
Yeah, it's .com land now, but whatever. Can I go? All right, so 13-year-old kid last night, Levi, for one of our New Era teams, hit me with a really good trivia. He has an advent calendar of trivia. So last night's question was pretty solid. There's 4 athletes, Major League Baseball, that have won 2 World Series MVPs. 2 World Series MVPs. There's 4 Major League Baseball players that in all time have done this.
Gosh.
Multiple negative.
Wow.
I probably shouldn't answer that so people can actually.
Yeah. If you know, list your 4 in the comments below. We'll pop this up at the end.
Give us 2 without looking, because those are.
Yeah, you don't get to cheat and go to the end and look either.
That's a good one.
I like that.
1 is in the AL. One guy has 1 in the NL and AL. The other 2 are in the NL.
Okay.
60s, 70s, current player.
That's only 3.
He's given.
No, 2 of them. 2 of them are in the 60s. One's in the 70s. Yeah, sorry. One's current player.
Yeah, the first one that popped in my mind, that would make, well, no, because that might have been the early 60s, but I don't think so. That was 50s.
Well, it could be 50s, 60s.
Because I was thinking Mickey Mantle.
Nope.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Maybe
It really is.
Brooks Robinson.
No
All right.
idea.
All right, we'll go.
Can I give a hint?
Oh, you gave hints. We'll come back to it.
All right.
He's fired up.
I love it. So they got me with this last night, and I think that I am a history guy. Like, I love baseball, right?
It.
And it's wild that I forgot one of them because it's pretty close, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. As soon as they told me, because they had to tell me, I didn't look it up, and it probably spent 20 minutes playing.
Well, here's a good trivia one for you. Who besides the Cincinnati Reds in the 1970s won multiple World Series?
Oakland A's. That was easy.
They were spot on
fuck
there.
you.
Jeez.
Oakland A's. Yeah. But most people don't know that.
I mean, well, you never know. One of those players might be the answer. From
It could be. Could be Reggie Jackson. That just popped that. Because if you remember, Dave Duncan was on that Oakland A's team. He was the catcher for that Oakland A's team, Dave Duncan. Yeah.
It would make sense to go with Mr. October for one of those.
Hey, you never know. If you think it's Mr. October, put it down. Jeter's Mr. November now with the
he
World
is.
Series getting into November.
Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's get started here. We're going to go through, we have our top 25. They're posted on the website at youthbaseballmidwest.com. You go to our high school page. We have the Class 5 rankings posted there for you, and we're going to roll through that. So let's get started. We're going to start down at the bottom at numbers 16 through 20, and starting with a team that I think could make a pretty good run. I got them down there. That is Pacific, the Pacific Indians, in the, I forget, oh geez,
Four Rivers Conference.
Four Rivers Conference. That's correct. And it all starts with Jake Collier, guys. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Competitive lefty, and obviously there's velocity there because he's going to Missouri State, correct, Collier?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's velocity there, but just what I've heard about Jake is how competitive he is on the mound. How he throws all his stuff in the strike zone. He pitches with fire. And when you're talking about Class 5 baseball, if you've got a big arm, you can make a run. And I understand that you now have to win 2 out of 3 in the quarterfinal, but still, to get game 1 and only have to win one more, find a way to win one more out of those 2, when you've got a big arm like that, who can basically beat any team in the state, that's a good way to start.
I like that. Having this is new to me. Is the quarterfinal winning 2 out of 3? Is this something that's changed?
It
Class
is.
5,
And
yeah, it's new this year.
Class 5 and Class 6 this year.
Oh, okay. So I missed that. I didn't see that. So you actually have to play a super regional type
Yes.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
best
now
2
it's
out
going to
of 3.
create a little bit of depth, because before it was you could throw your guy and you wouldn't have to worry week to week.
Right.
So that's a big deal. That's new to me. So
I think it's an even bigger deal in Class 5 because we're not as deep as Class 6 schools, most of us. There's going to be some exceptions to that, but it's you look at Howell. Howell didn't throw some guys last year in the playoffs. They're going to go play Division I baseball.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a little bit different with us in Class 5. I'm already kind of racking my brain. Like, if I'm fortunate enough to win our district, how am I going to beat whether it's Festus, Hillsborough, Farmington, DeSoto, whoever? Like, how am I going to beat those guys in 2 out of 3 games? I could beat them in one game, but beating them in 2 out of 3 that's a whole different animal.
yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing, too. You've got a couple of seniors coming back. Trey, I think it's Kulik and Connor Mooney. Trey Kulik, his splits last year were 413, 505, 475, 96 plate appearances. Kid scored 24 runs, 19 ribbies, and had 5 doubles. Mooney, 310, 403, 500, 16 runs scored, 19 RBIs. 2 doubles. He's got a little pop, 3 home runs. That's pretty good at high school. You get 3 balls out of the park. So you got a couple of offensive guys along there with Jake Collier, who swings the bat pretty good himself.
Yeah, I was going to say
455, 477.
he's gonna swing it in the middle of their order too. And don't forget Colton Kossuth, who's at 2026. I think he had 6 home runs last year as a sophomore. Fast, speedy outfielder, lightning fast hands, super athletic. He's been playing high level ball for many years now. He's going to be another one. He usually hits leadoff He's going to be another one that you're going to have to watch out for in that lineup.
831 slugging.
For Colton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you hit 6 tanks, that'll do that,
Yeah.
You look at that. I love these. This number to me is always is always a good one. That kid scored 31 runs and had 24 ribbies. That's 55 runs scored. That's fantastic run production out of one player.
Yeah. Yep.
Outstanding. Yeah. I've seen a couple things. I'm pretty active on X. I feel they have a catcher who's pretty solid defensively. I think he's also in the 2026 class. I've seen a couple videos of him receiving and throwing, and he looks really darn good. I don't remember the young man's name, but there's a lot of pieces there that you can get excited about.
Yeah, I think I've got him at 20. It'll be interesting to see. I think they're in district. I believe last year. Excuse me, they were in District 3 with Ladue, Parkway Central, Parkway West, Summit, and Westminster Christian. So good luck with that.
That's a tough district.
And so
Yeah.
and last year, I got to get over here real quick. Last year, they lost to Parkway Central 4-3 in the first round. So, it'll be interesting to see. I think they got a lot of tools, a lot of pieces to make a pretty good run again. So Pacific comes in at 20. I think that's a pretty good one. The next one, a team you mentioned here at 19, Dave, Farmington.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the misfortune of having to play the winner of this district if we win our district. At least that's how it's been in years past. Things can change. But I got to personally watch that Farmington team last year. We went down to scout that conference or that district. I don't know if you guys know, but Aiden Redmond, the senior, I believe he plays shortstop for them, but
Yes.
he's been 92, 93 off the mound recently. You're talking about a big time arm down there, in a conference in an area where there's not a ton of power arms. Like that dude is, he's throwing some smoke, and you're talking about having to beat a Festus or a Hillsboro in one game in districts. You run that dude out there, you never know what can happen. I got to see him pitch last year, and it's really cool because he's like maybe 5'8", 5'9", not a big dude, lightning quick arm, super athletic on the bump, and it comes out firm. And you know how those littler dudes are with those high spin fastballs, throwing them up in the zone. They're tough. They're real tough. So we got to see him throw live. We got to see Trevor Sutherland, who's a 2026 this year. He's a lefty. He's been up to 87. He's got a high spin fastball as well that plays up in the zone. Competitive kid, gets on the mound and competes with fires. Played at a very high level for a long time. I unfortunately don't know a whole lot about their offense, but I know those two on the mound can be pretty dangerous. And I know Redmond swings it well and and runs well also. But definitely deserving of that top 20 ranking, in my opinion.
To have a righty and a lefty is just I love that. Because you just don't see power arms like that, and I would say that that's a power arm. A lefty that's going to throw upper 80s. That's tough.
Especially Class 5, you're getting, depending upon, they're down there in the Middle Area Activities Association. Not that it's a bad conference, and the district is tough, but
Yeah.
you talk offense with this team. You're talking Jack McDowell, Connor Rice, Bryce Bloom. Jack McDowell had 23 RBIs. He had 27 runs scored, hit 2 home runs, 3 doubles and a triple. So that bat plays. Connor Rice was 316, 430, 411, 19 ribbies, 20 runs scored. So they have some run production. It'll be interesting to see what the younger classes do. I'm not as familiar in some of those with those kids.
I'm with a freshman, Chase Owens. He's a name that we've known for a while in the club world. He's a freshman there. He could make an impact right away. Catcher, pitcher, very physical, already touching 80 plus off the mound. Seems to have already kind of broken in with that upper class group and kind of earned their trust. And it seems to be working out with a lot of those guys. So he may be one that we touch on later.
The one kid I wanted to make sure we saw him at the prep baseball. Talked to him a little bit. Trevor Sutherland, left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, I mentioned he's the lefty.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's
great
correct.
kid, great kid.
So, and he's just a junior,
Right.
so that could be. I think this team is right there. They're going to be hard to beat. Um, you know, that movement of those two teams right there, I think they could make a real big run with the talent level. Pacific and Farmington, they could jump up pretty quickly, I think.
I agree.
We're gonna go for the next one out there. We're going to 18, Branson, the Branson Pirates. I know I was hoping to get a couple of guys on the show to talk a little bit from the west side. We don't have as much out there about Branson. Uh, I've been trying to get a hold of Coach Harriman. We're going to be at Branson live streaming their game against Willard. And I don't have as much information. So it's one that we're just going to kind of have to, kind of look at and go. From last year, the players and whatnot, and they have some returning. What I've talked to with Coach Scott McGee about Branson, they got some solid returners. They're gonna be in the mix there in Southwest Missouri. Any thoughts?
Unfortunately, I don't know the Branson Pirates, but what I do know is that they played a really tight game with Willard last year in that district championship. And if you're going toe to toe with those guys and you're playing a tight game, you're good and you're competitive. So um,
I didn't even know
unfortunately
they had a
don't
high
know
school.
too much.
He didn't know it had a high school.
I just thought it was a town.
So
Yeah,
Coach
that's awesome.
Harriman, we hope to get you on, talk to you a little bit in the future here and learn a little bit more about Branson. But we got them at 18 right there. Next up, another team here in the St. Louis Suburban. I believe they went down. They're in the, what is it, green? Yeah, they're in
Yes,
the
sir.
green. Ladue, Horton Watkins, the Rams. Kind of surprised some people. But once you get a look at the talent, all of a sudden you're like, well, yeah, now it makes sense, right?
They're a good ball club. Um, they position player wise, you have Seton Thompson, who's committed to Missouri, who's a tooled up shortstop, hits from both sides of the plate, very athletic, very smooth. He's going to put his name on the map this year at the varsity level. Got he was behind Will Kunitz last year, who's a Maryville commit, who's a very good player. Um, and I think Seton got a chance to break in on the mound, but didn't quite get a chance to do it as much as we would have liked to see at the plate and in the field. But then in the summer, he had a huge summer and went to the future games and showed out there. Devin Freeman, super athletic center fielder, one of the best defensive outfielders I've ever seen at the high school level. He's got a great swing with athleticism. You have a sophomore and a young man they call Sumo Hilliard. Fred Hilliard played JV last year, super athletic. I could see him and Devin running down everything in the outfield. They've got Jack Moore, their big arm, brother of Will Moore. Jack's been a mid upper 80s guy lately, committed to Long Island University, I want to say, Division I up in New York. Jack's a heck of a pitcher. He gets on the mound and he pounds the strike zone. He competes. And once again, when you have an arm like that at this level, sometimes that's all you really need to start out. I'm sure they'll have other pieces behind him on the mound that we might not know about yet. But just from the years of playing them, we last year we beat them 5-3 and we stole 15 bases. So when you steal 15 bases, you figure you're going to rout somebody. Well, we stole 15 and we only won 5-3. So they compete hard on the mound. They compete at the plate, and they're although there were things that we saw that we could kind of take advantage of, it wasn't enough to just flat out beat them. And they had the winning run on second base in the last inning against us last year, and we were in control most of the games. And you could see it as they went through their playoff run. They played some awesome baseball there when it mattered. and we're very close to upsetting some great teams. I believe Rockwood Summit in that district championship game. That was really cool to see. And it just kind of shows you that the youth that they have and how good they could be this year and next year. I'm kind of sad to see them leave the Red Pool. I was excited to play them again this year, but they'll have fun competing down in the Green Pool. But we'll miss them up in red.
Yeah, and you look at their schedule, 11 and 10 is not really an indication of who they are. I mean, they play a tough schedule. Just because they don't have 30 plus games in there, they could easily have been 18 and 10, which, that makes that record look different. I'm excited for Seton Thompson, having to know Seton and been around him for a few years, inside the hitting zone. I got a chance to know the kid. So I think he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Not in a negative way, just because last year as a sophomore, like you said, he was behind some guys, and now he gets an opportunity to show out. I'm looking for that, and he's kind of a name that I'm looking at the STL Today stats, like, waiting to see how he kind of does through the season. And he's an arm that can come in and support that staff, and he's got those tools. And I wonder what he's going to do when he gets to the next level. Because he is a toolsy player, and does he stay on the infield? Does he get into the outfield kind of thing? So I think that he's a big time player to watch for Ledoux, because there's no information on him other than us knowing who he is as coaches or even as peers. So
Right.
I'm excited for Seton to finally get his opportunities.
Me too.
Another team you probably, if you've driven to Springfield on I-44, you go right through Marshfield, right to Springfield. Marshfield is coming in at number 16, the Blue Jays. They had a really good season, 23 and 13. Met Coach Bill Pate at the coaches clinic. Had a good conversation with him. He's got Henry Bergstresser coming back this year. A kid that I think performed very well on the mound for them. And I believe, let me look and see. I have to remember. Yeah, he's committed. He's going to be up here at East Central College playing some ball. And then on top of that, they've got a couple of sophomores at Marshfield, a catcher, which I always think is impressive. When you have a catcher that's ranked 63rd in the state, Hunter Fryman as a junior, you got a catcher right there. You got Carson Adams and Cannon Cordova all coming back on that infield. Marshfield's got some talent. I think they're going to play well again. They're in the, I believe it is the Ozark Mountain Conference. Yes, they're Ozark Mountain Conference. That's one of the newer conferences down there. So that's what I have about this team. I don't know if you're familiar at all with them, Dave.
Not too familiar. So Hunter Fryman attends Marshfield. That's correct. Yeah, I've once again from my time looking at X videos and different showcases, he looks like he's a pretty exciting player. Aside from being a really good catcher, I think he can really pick it on the dirt at shortstop. Also, plays high level ball in the summer. So he's one that I'm sure we'll know more about as we follow Marshfield more this year as he starts his junior season. But I've heard from many that he's a pretty exciting player.
Absolutely. And here's the thing too. If you check out the Ozone, go to the Ozone down there in Springfield. They do some previews. It's pretty interesting stuff. I've read up on Marshfield. I think they're going to be a solid team. They also have a sophomore, Trenton Rosenthal. I've heard the name that he's because talking with Kevin, some of the things moving in that direction. They have some pieces still. I think is what's interesting in some of these schools is you see a lot more sophomores and juniors with some of these smaller schools like this, even though they're class 5, and they make an impact. And you really have to have talent up and down through each class in some of these schools to really make and put yourself in a position like this to be successful. Agreed?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's Marshfield. I've got them at number 16. And so, Lauren, then let's move up. We're going to go 15 through the next 5. 11. And coming in at number 15, Springfield Catholic, who beat Marshfield in the district last year in the first round. It was a tight game. I think it was a 1-run ball game. Coach Courtney Spitz down there. That program they have Ben Smith's younger brother. I think it's Jack Smith, right?
Yeah, Jacob or Jack, one of the two.
Yeah, I know. It's a Smith.
It's a Smith, and he's going to Mizzou.
Yes, he is. I mean, right there, you start with Springfield Catholic with that young man, and I believe he's still just a junior, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
26. Yeah, he's a 26. Yeah.
We saw Springfield Catholic last year. We did it early in the season against Nixa. We went down and live streamed the game, got to talk with Coach Spitz. I mean, they had a couple of seniors. That was a young team, and they went out and competed their butts off against a very good Nixa team. I think they lost by 3 runs. You know, they went to their house, played Nixa at their house. This was a young team, and that's what Coach Spitz said. We got a young team, but we got a lot of talent. And I'm hoping to get Coach Spitz a little bit more. And it's just so tough to find information from those teams down there and who they are and what they are. They don't have STL Sports like we do here.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Hard to get that info up here in St. Louis.
Exactly. So I think Springfield Catholic's going to be very good. I think they're going to be one of they're another team, that could make a jump. We'll see. They've still got some young guys, but they keep getting better every year. And I honestly, if everything plays out for them, I think they could be in the top 10, making a run at the end of the season.
That's another program that, like when you look at their record, they're sub 500, and it's again another show of indications like their schedule may be a lot tougher than don't just look on paper and evaluate a team and say, oh, that team's not whatever. But they got several 1-run loss games against some top competition, and so looking at that, I'm like, that could be a team, and like you said, with the growth of the younger kids and the experience, that only helps, right? So it's not you don't go backwards. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm trying to start to pay attention to some of these southern schools that I don't pay attention in that southwest area of our state.
Here we go. I'm looking at the Ozark Sports Zone. Nick Reuter, Jack Smith, and Nate Lask. Those are 3 names to watch with these guys. And I think you're going to be, Reuter hit .416 last year, 19 runs batted in, 15 stolen bases. You have, of course, Jack Smith. He was 4-3 on the mound, a 3.81 ERA. And Lask hit .318, 20 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. So these are a couple of guys. They have Ben Collier and Daniel Hessman, also seniors returning. They've got some guys in that mix that I think will be interesting to see, and we'll see what Springfield Catholic does with this team. Another team that I got a chance to meet Coach Brett Skinner at the Coaches Clinic, Capital City. 21-12. Anytime I believe you can win 20 plus games in a season, you're having a really good season. You're playing good baseball, because it's hard to win 20 games. They were 21-12, so they played 33 baseball games as a Class 5 school. Capital City is a newer school that I think they're like 7 years old in the Jeff City area, the expansion there. So it's
Ryan, I don't want to stop you.
Yeah.
Were we skipping Hillsborough and Warrenton?
No.
I just thought because he was doing the Ozark stuff.
I didn't have my glasses on when I started this, Dave. Dave's right. We're going to come back down. Let's go to number 14.
I thought there was a purpose to that.
No, we're going to
Let's do it.
Hillsboro.
I wanted to
I'm
jump in
sorry,
right
I'm sorry, Hillsboro, but because you can't skip Hillsboro because I think this is going to be a fantastic team. 19 and 10, Matt Thompson, seniors returning, Gunnar Sutton, Easton Day, Aiden Rowland, Keenan Drury, but the two sophomore, or I think they're just sophomores, aren't they? The Partney
They're
brothers,
just sophomores. Yeah, they're sophomores.
and they are phenomenal athletes. Hillsboro is loaded, and I think this team could surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, it was cool because PBR just did their season outlook for them today, so I pulled that up. That's why my head was down. If you talk about Coach Thompson and what he knows he has coming back, so Drury's going to Rockhurst, Easton Day's going to East Central, Aiden Rowland's going to East Central, and Aiden missed all last year with a torn UCL, and he's a big arm and a big bat for them that they didn't have last year. And then Gunner is I can't remember his older brother's name, but he was their stud pitcher last year. Sutton, sorry, buddy, you did great when I saw you pitch. Um, but Gunner's going to hope to obviously fill his older brother's shoes this year, and then you have the Partney brothers who I mean, Max is electric with the stick. Big time left-handed hitter, hits the ball hard, hits with pop. As a freshman last year, facing him, we didn't feel like we were facing a freshman at all. And then obviously his brother Zach is very toolsy, can catch, can play the outfield, can run really well. I've had the pleasure of knowing those boys since they're about 11 or 12 years old. And then he also believes that he's got a young man named Riley Wallace, who's a junior, who's a big arm from their JV team. And then they also have a freshman right-handed pitcher, Cash Linderer, who they're looking forward to. Maybe the younger brother of the Linderer boy, who was their leadoff hitter last year. Dom Sutton is the one they lost. Dom and Gavin Height and Cohen Linderer. Okay, there we go. See, these insights are nice. Being able to read them.
It is, right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
You got to
but
try
I
and go.
I love coaching against Coach Thompson. He's a great coach. He's a down to earth, really relatable guy. Coaches his guys hard. We played some really good games with them the last couple of years. And yeah, like I said, that conference. I mean, when you're talking about those four, especially DeSoto, Farmington, Hillsborough, Festus, obviously people are going to pick Festus because they've been doing it for so long. But one of these teams wants to sneak up and get them. They really, really do.
Yeah, yeah. I think Festus. You're right. They've been dominant, and but I think Hillsboro, man, they're young. The other kid, they got a catcher, Jackson Marks, that I think
Yes.
could make an impact as well. So it's all over that field for Hillsboro, and I think that's going to be a tough one down there with Festus. I'm looking forward to that. I think
It's
you've
going to be
got
awesome.
you look at this, Dave, and what we've been just saying here, and you go down into the South there, with Farmington that we've talked about already in Hillsboro. Uh, there's some really good baseball teams happening in that area down there.
If you go back and look at the scores between Festus and Hillsborough in the regular season last year, I want to say they were both 1-0 games. Um, I mean, both teams pitched it extremely well and just did everything they could to hold those all offenses down. No, I think obviously you're going to like Festus's arms better than pretty much most Class 5 teams. But I think Hillsborough has the sticks, and usually pitching wins the day. But it'll be interesting to see those two go at it.
Yes, it will. I think pretty. You're talking about desire at this point. How bad do you want it?
Absolutely.
So
Oh, I mean, Hillsborough was one of our biggest fans when we played Festus in that state quarterfinal game. Coach Thompson and I had many conversations.
I love it, man. I love it. No, so Hillsboro, they had 19 wins last year. They were 19 to 10. I think they're poised to be right back at the top there, and could break through. Like I said, you have the Colossus there at the top, Festus. So it'll be interesting to see how that. I think you have to wait and kind of see because you haven't beat them yet. So you
Oh,
gotta.
you're right. Yeah, no, Festus is the class of that district and they and that conference, and
Yeah.
you're going to have to beat them to. to make it matters otherwise.
Claim your place, right?
I really
Right.
like Festus. I got a chance to meet. I can't think of his list. The coach that coached that 14U team a few years ago. We had on. Oh, that was DeSoto. I'm thinking somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Dragons. I'm
Okay.
thinking somebody else.
DeSoto's in that, and DeSoto's been playing pretty good baseball down there.
They have.
So you got it's true. That whole area down there is getting better with baseball. It is. I mean, everybody is. It's the whole state is just getting better. We're gonna move up. Number 13, GAC North. Warrenton Warriors, Coach Eric Burley. They were 22-6-1 last year. They got 3 guys coming back that were part of that team last year in Austin Haas, Mason Thompson, and Colin D. Sylvester. 3 seniors that have been doing it with that team for quite some time. Of course, your dude, Austin Haas, you love that kid, right?
That's my guy, man. I've had a chance when Premier was inside the facility. I had a chance to see him as a young kid, 15-year-old kid, and I watched his progression. And he's always this short, stocky kid. He comes in there and he's got a big swing. He's max effort all the time. He runs fast, runs hard. He's got a great arm. I like the kid just because of that mentality. People probably been telling him, hey, you're 5'8", 5'9", and baseball's not your thing. Go play soccer, whatever it is. And he come out and just ball. And I don't know that long term that's the position for him because he's got wheels. You don't typically see that kind of speed behind the dish. But he can catch. He's got a great arm. Wears pink cleats, and so if you wear pink cleats, you got to be kind of confident. So I'm excited to watch him, and I know we'll have him for a couple of games. If you didn't see that yesterday, we got a couple games that we'll be doing Warrenton in the GAC Classic and stuff. So I'm excited to watch his journey as a senior and kind of move on. I'm not sure that he is committed to play baseball yet, is he? On beyond?
I'll have to look. I think he is, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look. But just to your point, Austin had 13 base on balls, but he had 32 stolen bases. 32 stolen bases last year.
He's going to run. He's fast.
And not to mention, this kid hit 426, had a 508 on base percentage, 455 slug, 41 runs scored, 15 RBIs. So there again, you're talking about 56 runs accounted for on that squad. So that's a lot of run production for that Warrenton team.
Yeah, they're going to need that again this year. I know that Ben Peth is gone. That was their big senior leader last year. He has moved on to play college baseball. But I'm looking for some of these opportunities for like you guys like Carter Martin and these young kids just kind of step up for Warrenton. And that's what's exciting about the smaller classes. Like you said earlier, you're going to have some freshmen, sophomores that are going to get some opportunities to shine. And so here you go, buddy. Welcome to the GACs and go get it.
Yeah, and you can't help but talk about Carter Martin. That kid is full real. He's just a stud. He looked really good at the prep baseball event we were at a couple weekends ago. And he is their guy on the mound. And if you got that guy, they still have some pitching behind him. They got guys that can get outs. They got guys that compete. That's the thing about Warrenton. And you can go and watch. I'm going to do these shameless plugs throughout, with us, but it's great. We love this because we appreciate. It's like Mr. Wiggins here. I appreciate the time these coaches take to come and talk to us about their baseball team. They don't have to. We just ask, and they say, sure. And, they got busy schedules. They want to see their wives, their kids. Coach Burley's coaching basketball, and they got their kids and their schedules. And to do this, so to me, it's really something I don't take for granted when these coaches say, yeah, we'll come in and talk about the team. I appreciate it greatly. So go check out Coach Burley's coach's preview of Warrenton. I think they're going to be another. As you can see, we got them at 13.
Well, I think that's the team that's going to. Well, you have to beat them first, right? So I know St. Charles West and that group is competitive. Orchard Farm. Orchard Farm. Got to make sure I get that correct. But Warrenton, you got to beat them first, and so right now they're pick to click. So
Absolutely. Now we'll do Capital City.
There we
Thanks,
go.
Dave.
Yeah.
At number 12, Coach Brett Skinner, 21-12. Again, a team that, we know a little bit about. They were in they're in the middle of the state. I think it's District 5 last year. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Yep. Lost to St. Francis Borgia in the first round, 1-0. And Borgia won that district. So you can see what kind of team they have. You get Borgia right off the kick. Good luck with that. And
Right.
Borgia always, the last year, they're a good baseball team. They lost in the quarters. This is a stacked, this one here is pretty stacked, I think, because I think you can see it right up there is Union. Union is also in this. But Capital City, they've got some guys I think that are going to be, they're going to be a tough team to beat. You got the one player that we know of, Peyton Locke, coming back as a senior. I'm not quite sure where he is at. Again, I have looked as much as I can. Peyton Locke is committed to William Penn. He's going to William Penn. So he's also a smart kid.
I was going to say, sounds like a smart school.
I think it's a D3 school.
I think you may be
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got a couple of kids here that we've seen on the radar with prep baseball. John Langston from Capital City, right-handed pitcher. Chase Lewis. So a couple of 2026 kids that we'll have to keep an eye on. And I think that's about where we're at there with.
So
And then, no.
big-
Chase
big one.
Stieferman.
Yeah, don't forget him.
Sorry, yeah, going to Missouri, right?
Big lefty, probably touching 90 by now. I am pretty sure he threw some big games for them last year as a freshman. But yeah, that's the name that I know out of Cap City, just from being in the club scene and all that fun stuff.
That Central Missouri Athletic Conference, too, is very tough. That is a big-time conference. Jeff City, Elias Catholic. Camdenton joined that conference as well. So we're going to move up. And last in this block here is a Union, which 22-10 last year. Another team in that 44 corridor down south of St. Louis with Pacific and those guys that I think showed very well. You've got Casey Griffin, Trent Cosmo. We'll talk about those kids a little bit here. Any thoughts on Union, Dave?
I don't know too much about Union, to be honest. When I was coaching 12 and 13U ball, they had a really good 12 and 13U team of kids from Union. So now those dudes are in high school, so it's no surprise that they're as competitive as they are. But name wise, I don't know a whole lot.
Yeah, one of the things that again goes back to club ball, that some of these small towns keep their teams together often, and so they might pull from a couple of smaller cities around, but at the end of the day, like the one thing that I'm noticing with these smaller area schools, not to say that the school is small in size, but they draw their kids from 8, 9U, and they play together from that time frame till they graduate high school for the most part. You might have a kid here and there that's just an elite level kid that's moving on, but again, you need a team full of chemistry and culture that starts at 8, 9, 10 years old. And it seems like it filters. Like the head coach from the varsity baseball team doesn't necessarily have a say in what the youth does down there, but there's a connection because those coaches want to make sure that their kids are prepared for high school baseball. And that's what I think is impressive about places like Union, Festus, Hillsboro, because those kids pretty much stay at home. And you can also see that shout out to their Legion group. They pretty much play Legion baseball down there, and their Legion teams are good.
Casey Griffin is the headline here. This young man, he's going to Heartland Community College. He was on the bump. He threw 63 innings last year. Had a 1.1 ERA. He was 7-2. He's coming back, like we said there. Trenton Kossman is also a kid coming back. He was part of the offense for that team. He's got some work to do still, but produced 27 RBIs, scored 16 runs, good run production there. Those are the two top names that I know of. It'll be interesting. We're going to work to try and get to know them a little bit more. I've got phone calls out to people, and we're going to look around and see what we can find.
Awesome.
But like I said, I went through the study that I've done looking at the players that have come back. I put them there because I think, they got, especially with the one, I think the biggest thing there is the pitching that's coming back for Union, led by that young man, Casey Griffin. When you got some arms, when you got arm talent and you can run out 3-4 guys, that to me is where it all begins, and you're going to compete. If you can get outs, you're going to be able to compete.
I mean, if you're going to Heartland in this day and age, you're a Division I talent. You're just you just want to make sure you're getting on the field sooner. I mean, Heartland's one of the better JUCOs in the Midwest. So
That's in Kansas.
no, it's in Normal, Illinois, like right next to Illinois State and Illinois Wesleyan.
Oh, gotcha. I'm thinking Highland. I think Community College. It's in Kansas. Sorry.
Yeah.
The other left-handed pitcher they have is Logan Hansel. He's a junior.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple things on him from the Tiger Scout Day. Yeah, he's exciting.
He's a 1.09 ERA as a sophomore, so he's coming back as a junior. So you got two arms there with Union. Like I said, that's what really kind of impressed me is the pitching that's coming back. And I saw the name. I was like, it's been a while, man. You go through so much information, like, oh yeah, that guy.
Right.
That's why I was hoping we would also have Mr. Mulder, but hey, you know what? When vacation calls, right?
Yeah, take it. I don't get it often, so I respect it.
Season's about to start. Let that man have some downtime.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. So, okay, we're going to start at number 10. We're in the top 10 now. That starts off with Elias Catholic. They've been kind of one of those teams for the last, I don't know, however many years in the central part of the state. Private Catholic school, of course, that in the Jeff City area that just kind of gets it done year in and year out. They have a lot of talent. Kids come play, and I think they're going to be right back there again this year, starting with Ben Miller, a catcher going to Missouri Southern, and Kalen Jones, a right-handed pitcher, coming right up here to Maryville University. Those two kids right off the top.
Yeah, that's two. I believe both Maryville and Missouri Southern are both ranked in the top 25 D2 right now, from what I understand. And so they're, those are probably still, again, D1 kids that, are taking advantage of opportunities to maybe jump in and play right away. Maryville's a great program. I love their head coach over there. And then Missouri Southern has shown that the last couple of years they've recruited well. So just because they're D2, I mean, they're walking into nice programs. I think I could be wrong. One of them beat University of Tampa, I thought. Quincy did. Sorry. Yeah, Quincy beat Tampa.
Did they awesome. Really?
Yeah, which is
that's phenomenal.
3 from them, which is still pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, especially where Tampa's at.
I was actually out to watch Maryville play a couple weekends ago, and I believe 4 dudes in their lineup were at once Division I baseball players. Cole Crispin, hit the middle of the order for SIU Carbondale. Their shortstop played at Indiana State. Victor Quinn's in their bullpen. Victor throws 100. So when you want to sit there and say you're too good to play Division II baseball, I challenge you to get out there and watch Division II baseball. It's very good baseball. There's studs all over the field, grown men. The young man Ty Rouser, from Howell, he was 90-93 that day on the bump. So there's really good baseball in our backyard. That's not Division I.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that because there's this stigma that it's D1 or bust kind of thing. And we just did this. There's some great channels out there like Prospect Dugout and some things like that are on Facebook to see these Division II schools. And oh gosh, I forgot his name. I just on it starts with an R over at UMSL. He is recruiting well, and he's got to start.
Mitchell,
Yeah, he's got to start. I said an R. I don't know what I was thinking, but he's got his starting staffs all in the 90s. His top arms like 96, 97. And I'm thinking, you ever know why a guy chooses to go play D2 baseball? And to be honest with you, I think D2 is the best of everything. It's a great student athlete feel.
yes.
Because you have some restrictions that you don't have at the higher levels, and it's not such a job. You can still be a student. You can still have dorm life, and I love that. What Coach is doing down there at Maryville, and again bringing back Victor Quinn. He's a guy that we talked about at Liberty. He went to Oregon State, and obviously transferred back home. And I got to see him while I was coaching at Timberland, and he's every bit of it throws hard. he gave up. Now he did give up one hit to Timberland, but lost 4-1. But he was a little bit wild when he was younger. So hopefully he's.
There's a lot of guys around here. Brady Wilson down, Howell kid down. He just hit 2 bombs the other day in a game in 2 different games for Jeffco. I mean, that kid, I wouldn't have thought that as, he was skinny kid, playing last year and whatnot, hitting home runs, hitting tanks down there for Jeffco. I was shocked. I was like,
These boys get to college and they really find the weight room and they really get their nutrition in check. And talk about development. UMSL, I was talking to one of their guys on staff, and they had a kid as a freshman who was 79 to 81, and his sophomore year this year, he's 91, 93 in their bullpen. So if you're talking about development, you're talking about going somewhere where you're going to get a chance to play, but also develop. I'm liking UMSL more and more. The more that I see what that staff's doing there.
Coach Ewell,
they
man.
They get turf, could be ball game.
Yeah, he's recruiting very well, and I did a little research on him because we had some players that kind of were interested that fit the mold, and he kind of explains that same thing that we talked about yesterday about the Michigan coach, just developing athletes. And a guy that throws 92 max effort's not the same as the guy that throws 85 that's fluid with growth potential, right? And some of these coaches will take flyers on these kids because of the size. Nate Kemp, who's a St. Dominic kid, who's a senior at UMSL, went to I think started at Missouri something, maybe S&T. He was kind of a mid 80s, upper 80s kind of guy. Now he's an upper 80s, 90s kind of guy, and he went to UMSL. He's kind of in their back into their bullpen, and that's they find themselves differently at the next level too. You think you're a starter. Nope, this is your best role for you and us and health and you just. I look at these kids though. The size is insane. These guys got tree trunk legs. You talk about the kid that's 5'8" or 5'9" throwing gas. And it's like we're trying to encourage our young people to lift weights because that's what the next level's doing. They have great strength and conditioning. They got great nutrition programs. And if the proof is there, let's start at 16 years old.
I met Coach Ewell at a prep baseball deal in the fall in Columbia, his first year when he'd first taken the job. So I started doing research and I got him on the show and we chatted it up. If you want to go back and look, I like Coach Ewell a lot. Energy is great. But I started looking, he came from Minot State University. Minot is like 20 miles from the Canadian border in North Dakota. And I'm looking at his roster and I'm like, why are these guys from Arizona coming to Minot State University to play baseball? And I'm looking at his roster. It's just full of Southwest guys. And I'm like, how's this guy doing that? And he's coming here. And I was like, right then you kind of know, oh, this guy can recruit.
Yep.
And if he can recruit and he's working and you can see what's happening over at UMSL at this point with Coach Ewell, I think he's doing a fantastic job. And you're right. If they do get turf, that could be.
Well, Division II in our state is, I think, some of the best in our state as a whole. Division II baseball is really good. Central Missouri, it is a phenomenal state to play D2 baseball.
So, Coach Kelly,
we got.
I love it. Helias Catholic, 19-7. Kelly Fick. They lost to They lost to Borgia again too last year in that district. That district is loaded. Let's move up. Number 9, Borgia. St. Francis Borgia. Again, here is another one. We had a great conversation with Coach Struckoff. They are part of our opening salvo. We're going to be at Blair Oaks High School. St. Francis Borgia will be visiting Blair Oaks, so make sure you tune in. This team, they lost some guys. Of course, Jack Noby is gone, but Drew Eckhoff, Caleb Haas, Coach Struckoff just seems to be able to reload that team. Thoughts?
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, we haven't beaten them yet, so they're good.
There you go. That's great analysis right there, man.
So
We
what
haven't
you're, so
beaten
what
them.
you're saying is you need somebody else to beat them?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, Coach Struckhoff, why did you throw Jack Noby on my senior night? I didn't like that. But we'll get over that.
I
Oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I love
Right?
this. I love that.
That
You're good friends with him, so obviously, you have a nice relationship with him. But that's pretty funny.
that's
Yeah. Well,
saltiness right there.
he also left the yard big time in that game too, way over the monster. So Jack left his mark at Old Copland Field. I'm happy for him at Xavier. He could stay there. So,
Everybody's got a guy like that they could think about. Like, I'm sure from your high school days, I got guys from my high school days. Like, I was glad when I didn't see him in the district, in our district when after 2 years. I'm like, I'm sick of facing this guy. I'm done. Like, give me somebody new.
Yeah.
I don't care if I lose to them. I care if I
There's
lose.
the
But
guy that you see him on the roster, and you're like, didn't he graduate 2 years ago? What's happening? He's only a junior. Yeah, this kid's worn us out for 5 years, and he's only a junior. How's that even possible?
that's funny.
It's the way it feels, right?
That's exactly
Yeah.
how
It is the way it feels, and you're just like, my goodness, what is going on? So, I lost my feed there, so I'm sorry. I kind of I don't know how that on some stuff I was looking at. Sorry, guys. JC, it looks like JC Keeler, a catcher, 2027, could be an interesting fit there. Like I said, though, you can go and check and talk. We talked about quite a few names with Coach Struckoff. I still believe this team is going to be very tough to beat. They're going to be right in there. Brady O'Hanlon is a young man, and Lane Malincrot are two names that we discussed with him that are going to be in that mix for St. Francis Borgia as well. So you've got, you're going to have to, and as we said on the senior side, they got Drew Eckhoff, and I believe I'm trying to look and see where Eckhoff is going. Caleb Haas, I don't think Eckhoff's not, I thought he was committed. I'm not sure. Caleb Haas is going to East Central College. He pitched well, few innings, but he's going to be a guy. But Drew Eckhoff is the guy they're building. That he had a big role in the team last year. He'll be back again this year. That team is going to be, again, that's one of those, they're a Class 5 school, but it's because they've won so much.
Right.
Really, they're probably maybe even Class 3 or 4 as far as enrollment, I would think, right, Dave?
Yes. Yeah. I would think Class 4.
Yeah. So they get it done. They have quite a few sophomores, juniors step up every year. It's one of those things. So go check that out. Coach's preview with Coach Struckoff. At number 8, who's that?
I don't know the guy.
You don't know that guy? I don't know that guy. Yeah. What's that team? Webster Groves. I got him at number 8 because we had the opportunity to speak with the coach at Webster Groves, Mr. Dave Wiggins. And I think you got some pieces there. It'll be interesting. Really, it's just how do they all fall out, correct, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. We have seniors returning who have experience on the mound, a couple at the dish. It's some exciting juniors that we look to take a step forward, a couple sophomores that could contribute a very different look from what we were last year. And obviously we were competitive last year and losing 13 guys. It's not easy to reload. Um, but I do like how competitive these boys can be and what they've shown us so far in the the limited days of tryouts that we've had and our off season stuff. It's going to be about them being able to play similarly to the way last year's team did, and really just kind of buying into that and just playing gritty, fast baseball.
That's
And
a
if they can, that's could be good again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, like, again, we talked about it yesterday with kind of revealing our schedule, and you guys can go back and take a look at that for our YBM stuff. But having that many seniors and losing that, because I'm assuming all those seniors probably had a lot of playing time, and so some of these younger kids may not have that game experience at this varsity level. And so that's got to be a challenging thing that you're going to have to figure out real quick. And they're going to
Yes.
have to get comfortable with that because your schedule is not weak. And
No,
so
sir.
is that something that you think will be a challenge early for you is
I
just
do.
gameplay?
I think it'll be a challenge early for me to figure out what nine need to be in the lineup regularly. There's going to be some battles there. There's going to not just position battles, but just bat battles in general. And we put an emphasis on defense on our infield at first base, in the corners, and we will sometimes sacrifice a little bit of offense for defense, and at times, given who we play, we might sacrifice some defense for offense. Um, so it's really going to be about who could be a consistent performer in our lineup. We only have three guys returning who have varsity at bats. Four, if you count Mr. Wilhelm, who was a fantastic pitcher for us last year, but got some ABs as a freshman and sophomore. Um, so you're going to ask these now juniors and maybe a couple sophomores to come up and be a productive bat at the varsity level, and we all know that's not easy to do, especially given the schedule that we have. And it's more than just being able to hit; it's being able to work counts. It's being able to not swing outside of the strike zone, hurt the fastball early, get a bunt down, be a great heady base runner. We don't have a ton of team speed this year, but we're still going to run like heck, and we're going to do everything we can to create havoc on the bases. And if you can do that, but you're not the greatest hitter, but you can get on base in other ways, you might find yourself in the lineup more times than not. So there's a lot of question marks right now, and the good question marks, like, is it player A or player B? It's not like who is it. We know who it could be. We don't know who that one is though. So yeah, there's
Finding
a lot to be
ways.
determined. There's a lot to be determined. And for the first time, I've got my full team there for the spring break tournament. I don't have anybody missing. Super excited about that. Full program buy-in, like we're playing baseball over spring break. So should be a lot of fun.
There you go. And I think that's made a big impact. You got those guys, the culture, it's moving, it's trending. If you want to check out the coach's preview with Coach Wiggins, please do so. But after the show. Anywho,
After
after this one, let's move number 7, North Point. The North Point Grizzlies, they moved into the GAC Central this year. I think, the record 12-17 last year. I think this team is poised to finally make that next step. I like Justin Schmidt again. Go check out the coach's preview with Coach Justin. Schmidt, and he's first year this year, but he's been around. I think he's a heck of a coach. He's got experience, and when you have three seniors like this with Jack Cowling, Peyton Burdell, Kevin Mangrum, guys that have been with that program, I think they're finally. And Jack Cowling, my goodness, he came in here for that preseason photo video shoot we did with the GAC. The kid's 6'5". I mean, I was like, because the last time I saw him, he was about 6'3", just wiry, and he looked the part. I mean, it just looked like he's gonna, crush you. Big kid, and I think he's ready to go. I like Peyton Burdell's attitude. Kevin Manger, those guys are really good. They've got a couple of juniors in Justin Neniger, and Brady Eisenbath is really good behind the plate as well. So you've
Joe
got
Gonzalez,
Joe
see,
Gonzalez.
Joe's a good player,
Yes,
very
he's
good
a
player.
senior too. He was
He's
here
only
for
a
that.
junior.
I thought
Joe's
it
only
was
a junior.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Joe, I've had to play against Joe for 8-9 years now, so I know for sure Joe's a junior and a very good player.
I believe you, man. I believe you. The and that's where I think they've got talent. I think it's this year. I think they have the opportunity to put that together finally. They've been. This is still a very young school. What, 5 years
Yeah,
now? And so, building that. They've had some. Justin Schmidt here. I think with this team, I think it's their time. I think this is the team that puts them into that. That's why I have them at number 7. I think they're there.
I think they're going to flip that record. I think from what I remember last year, I think they were unhealthy. I think they had some
A
health
little bit.
issues
A little
early.
bit. Yeah.
When they lost some of these guys, because I know some of the games that we were at that some of these guys weren't even in the lineup playing early on in the season. And I know that they got some kids that are going to be some role players for that group. There's a couple kids that are going to Central Methodist, and some seniors that are moving on. And Frankie Trevino, if he stays healthy, he could be an arm that's going to help them on the weekends. So I do think that number can switch. Again, health I think is going to be a big key for North Point this year.
They've got a few sophomores too in Jaden Flores, um, Carson Bowers, Brendan Dickherber. They've got a good younger class that I think could figure into some of this as well. So the talent is there, the ability. It'll be Schmidt's first year, culture, how they do with that, how they handle that. I'm looking forward to seeing that first weekend of the GAC. We'll be at Zumwalt West for Hal, but I'm telling you, the Central, that is a big time matchup. I'm sorry we're missing it, but you got North Point and Timberland with Jack Cowling and Richie Swain facing off. That is a epic uh, matchup right there, and I think that is going to set the tone, for the Central, Timberland, North Point. Who's going to come out of that. So I think those two teams right there. Oof, it's going to be fun. Going to be a lot of fun. So North Point at 7, number 6, Platte County, 20-12. John Sipe is the coach over there. I met Coach Sipe a couple of years ago when they were at the state championships. In fact, yeah, they were very good. Dayton Doll, Bronson Ryan, and of course the junior there, Rocco Marriott. Also the quarterback, the guy I think has got some D1 as a quarterback as well. This team is loaded on that side of the state. Platte County is
do
um,
not forget Brennan McLaughlin, another
Brendan
junior, up to 94 this offseason. Just a flashy player, plays shortstop, 100+ exit velocity, hit a ton of home runs this summer. He could be one of the best players in that class, just given what I've seen. And I know he put up good numbers last year as a sophomore for them, but he could have a massive junior year on the mound and at the plate. So when you're talking about him and Marriott both in that junior class, they're really, really fun guys to watch.
They've got a right-handed pitcher that's a sophomore in Evan Magnuson.
I
That
think that name, yeah.
that is pretty lights out as well. I think he's already in the mid to upper 80s. He's on the board already. He plays over there, I think, for the U.S. Nationals. So you've got some kids. That team is going to be right back there. They had a good run this year. I think they kind of in districts it was they ran into who was it? Kearney, yeah. So that's going to be tough right there.
Yeah.
Kearney's. But that's some epic stuff over there. I like Platte County. I think they're going to be one of the contenders. Could be a Final Four. They could be. I think that's very real. But they got in the number 5 spot. Now we get to our top 5. We're rolling through this. Coach Jeff Montgomery, team we talked about a little bit earlier, 25-8 last year. Mason Shermer, Brady Nolan coming back, Festus. That's that team Hillsboro's got to deal with. And Festus is going to be right back there at the top with that pitching staff, Dave.
Yeah, Festus has the arms. You've got Mason. You've got Jackson Smith. You have Jackson Imes, who's only a sophomore. All three lefties, and then you have transfer Kale Schaumburg from Crystal City, who's a 6'6" lefty as well, who can run it up there. So you're talking about four physical left-handed pitchers on one staff. The question's going to be, can they get it done offensively? Brady Nolan is electric at the top. You can't let him get on base. You just can't. You have to do anything you can to not let that kid get on base, because if he does, he's going to hurt you. He's going to take second. He's going to take third, and he might even think about taking home. That's a major league reference. He's just that fun to watch. I've known Brady a long time. He goes and gets it in the outfield. Losing Hayden Bates, that dude, he rakes. I think he hit 2 tanks the other day for Johnson County. So that's a big bat they're going to have to replace. Mason can swing it. Mason Shermer can swing it from the left side. Jackson Smith can swing it from the left side. And then you have the sophomore Braden Good, who got varsity time as a freshman. Very good middle infielder who handles the bat extremely well. I've had the pleasure of seeing him train this offseason. He's hitting the ball harder. He's not just hitting the ball to right field anymore. He's opening up. He's being able to pull the ball a little bit in the air. He's a lot stronger and more athletic. Just a team I know quite a bit about. They are very talented, and they have some youth that no one's seen yet. They have a couple other sophomores in Cole Molesky and Henry Brown that are going to make a mark as well. Dang, that's a good team. That's a good team, and I just look at them and
Did you talk about
don't know.
Jackson James?
Jackson Imes. So it's IJAMS. Yeah. Jackson's an exciting sophomore lefty.
Yes, that's the way it is.
What a luxury! What a luxury to have. And do you think that having that many lefties is good or bad?
It's amazing.
Can't be a bad thing. I mean, I just like the riches, man. Like just having that many lefty pitchers that throw that well. I'm like unreal. How does that happen?
You know what? I took a page out of old Monty's book, and I have 8 left-handed pitchers on my summer team this summer. So I'm just like, man, I'm gonna load up on lefties. I love my lefty arms, and I'm super jealous of Jeff and the embarrassment of lefty talent that he has. Mason's outstanding, but my goodness, Jackson, the other Jackson, and Kale, they're really, really good too. So
if you look at the top 5 here and you're seeing it on the screen, you got Festus at 5 and Summit at 2. And the only reason I have those flip-flop like that is I think Summit has more offense. And honestly, that's just my thought. And we'll get to Summit here in a minute. But number 4, you saw them up close and personal last year, Dave, Kearney, in the state championships. I don't think you guys played them though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, we did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
That's right.
The team we beat in the in the semifinal game, and we went into that game not really knowing a whole lot about them numbers wise, because you can't see what you can see on SCL today, but just knowing the talent that they had, by the names and what we knew, and seeing video of those guys, man, we knew we were in for it with old Mr. Hellberg on the mound, and they call him the Bear for a reason. He stomps around that mound like he's in control. And he had his brother catching for him, who's a senior, who's at oh man, he's at some school in I think Colorado.
Yeah.
But those Hellberg boys were darn good, man, and the catcher could flat out swing it. The Bear, as the strike zones down there are super tight, and we got fortunate enough to work some at bats against the Bear, and he didn't have the day that we thought he would have, or that they probably thought he would have, because we knew it was going to be tough sledding facing him. But then, obviously Chase Porter is an absolute stud, switch hitter, center fielder, runs a 6'4", 60, hits tanks, going to Louisville. He's one that we didn't know what to do with him. We just tried to get him out, hope he didn't get on base, right? Hopefully hit the ball in the air and we were there to catch it. And then Manny Linthicum, the kid that graduated, who played shortstop, is playing wide receiver at Missouri. Just a very talented team. And now they have a kid who hit 98 miles an hour the other day in the 2026 class, in Cam Taylor, going to Mizzou. Yeah. And I don't even think he played varsity last year. No. So they are my preseason number 1 in my head, just because I know what they have, and I think Willard might be class 6. Um, but one of the most talented teams that we ran into all year last year, and we were fortunate enough to be on the right side of that one. But we play them 9 out of 10 times, or they probably beat us 9 out of 10 times, and I'm not lying to you. They are supremely talented and well coached, and they play hard.
They are, and we will have this coming up. I had the opportunity. There's another kid. Great conversation. Really enjoyed it. We got a player spotlight coming up with Chase Porter going to
Yeah,
Louisville. Really enjoyed that kid. He's one of those, man. He's got it up here too, and I agree. I mean, I looked at this, and I know I've got 3 teams ahead of them, and Dave's within. I think you could put any of these teams.
you
I
could.
think it's so closely matched, Dave. And I
The top
know,
five is crazy close. The top five's crazy close. It is.
yeah, from
Yeah.
Festus up to Kearney Webb City Summit, Willard, and like you said, Willard. I know Coach McGee. He said that too. He's like nervous.
Well,
Doesn't want to be Class 6.
given what he said, if they are class 6, we could just replace them with Vianney, and we could put Vianney up there at the top. That's a conversation for another day.
Exactly. And that could be real. That's could be
Yeah.
a very real situation. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Webb City, coach Andrew Donig, they've got talent galore. Andrew Young, Landon Fletcher. Landon Fletcher's a stud. This team, they've got pitching, they've got offense. They're coming back. They were, I think, 1 run short of, I think they lost 4-2 in the championship game. I think it was. Hang on, I'm going to find out. Tell you here just a
They
second.
lost to Kearney.
Yes.
It was a tight game.
Yep. No. District champs.
They lost in the quarters.
It was the quarters, Brian.
Yes. I'm sorry. Correct.
You're-
I was looking in the wrong space. Sorry, guys. And that's the tough thing about that, man. You got so many good baseball teams in those spaces. No. Kearney plays in District 8. They lost in the quarters to Kearney. I'm sorry.
Kearney. Yeah.
I'm thinking districts. My fault, guys. My fault.
Oh, you're good.
But Webb City, they lost to Kearney. I think that, if that's the case, there's Webb City again and Kearney again. Platte County, do they have enough to maybe bang them out? I don't know. You're talking small, but Kearney's going to be right back there. I think Webb City's going to be right back there. So I think they could be duking it out for the Final Four. I think that's where you have with Webb City. Go check out the coach's preview with Coach Andrew Donig. We had that. That I think is coming up. I don't think we've put that up yet. So you get to know a little bit more about Webb City and what they're doing. I'm going to push a little bit because I know we're getting a little long here in time, but a lot of teams. Rockwood Summit, Coach Jason Schneider. We did have a chance to talk with him. That is coming up in about a week. It'll be on the channel. Had a great conversation with Coach Schneider. I know you're very familiar with with Summit. I'm just going to say Summit now instead of Rockwood. He said, you can just say Summit. So I'm just going to say Summit. And they're back again. And this team, up and down, I think is the number, could be, again, they could be number 1. This team is loaded, Dave.
They're supremely talented, and they have kids who've been doing it since freshman year, and that's cool. Jason's son Wyatt is a stud hitter, left side infield guy. Does not get enough love, but he's one of my favorite ball players in that class. And then Caden Dingus, I've seen videos of him recently. He's always been a twitchy and just super high level athlete, but he's getting a lot stronger and hitting the ball a lot harder from what I've seen. So watch out there. That's the left side of their infield, and they've been starters since they were freshmen. That's crazy. And then you got the left-handed pitching duo with Hallam, actually a trio, Hallam, Nagel, and Mosier, and Mosier's going to Evansville. And then Gabe Sieve at the top, who's, I think, he threw a heck of a game against Fort Zumwalt South in that in their quarterfinal. I think he was up to 88 that day, and I've had the pleasure of seeing Gabe work this offseason, and Gabe is focused and driven, and he's ready to rock and roll, and they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. because they know they're one of the best teams in this class, and they always play like it. They play with confidence. They have a fantastic defensive catcher. Is that
Jackson
Branscombe?
Miller. Branscombe,
Oh,
yes.
Jackson's the
You have
big
Jackson
bat.
Miller too, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
Jackson.
Branscombe's the defensive guy. Yes.
Yes, Jackson's one of the best left-handed bats in the state, and Quincy lucked out getting him just because Jackson doesn't quite have a set position positionally. But when you're talking about a left-handed bat like Jackson's and the power that he produces and the way he just handles high-level pitching, it's impressive to watch Jackson do what he does with the stick. Man, I'm sure I'm missing guys because they just have so many, and there's probably some we don't know about yet. I'm sure there's a freshman that's going to be up who's really good. Uh,
That's
go ahead.
that's why you got to watch the coaches preview with Coach Snyder.
Coach Schneider, there you go. We'll let Coach Schneider tell you all about his team.
Exactly.
But
But
we get to
just
play them in a jamboree next weekend. Them and Lindbergh, and we love that. I love Coach Scott. I love Coach Schneider, and what we do preseason every year, and it's so much fun. Um, and we'll get to see them firsthand here in about a week.
there you go. Just in those three guys, a three-headed monster offensively. Uh, I don't know. I don't know, man. I think that's definitely a Final Four team. They're there. I think it's going to be an interesting with all those teams right at the top there. It's just a coin flip, in my opinion. Last we got Willard, returning state champions. They're returning a lot of guys from that team too. They lost some to Levi Hilton, um, but you got Matt Angel. I got to put my glasses back on. Rowden Lejeune, Jackson Phipps, Brighton Tao, just to name right off the top, the seniors there, all coming back. And Matt Angel, that kid's a stud playing shortstop. He's the catalyst of that team. Sharp kid, got it up here. The catcher, when you got a catcher coming back, Rowden Lejeune, it helps that whole pitching staff. They got guys. They don't. Willard's just one of those teams now. If they're in Class 6, it's going to be tough. They'll compete. They always compete. But this is one of those teams. I don't care what year it is, whatnot. They may not be a state championship team, but they don't ever rebuild. They just retool, and they just got guys that they just plug in, and just the machine just keeps rolling. And what happens from there is just kind of what happens from there.
I remember McGee said in his coach's preview that in the playoffs they threw 40 out of 42 scoreless innings. That's insane. Now, obviously, a lot of that graduated, but
Yes.
Levi Hilton's only a junior. And
Yes.
Levi started the state championship game against us as a true sophomore, and he was up to 87. Then they brought in Kalen, and Kalen was lights out. But yeah, they're very good. His son had the game winning hit against us. I know he's going to hit in the middle of their order. They are they graduated a lot, but they've got a lot coming back. And I know how hard they practice. I know how hard they train, and I know their goals. And you'd be crazy to not say that they're going to at least be in that quarterfinal game. I mean, I don't care if it's Class 5 or Class 6. They win. They know how to win, and
Yes,
there's a
they
lot
do.
to be said for that. It starts from their youth program.
Yeah, it goes in. You're just seeing that again, and I know that it's I guess kind of a bigger city, but I just love that atmosphere. That's what I loved about Legion Ball when I grew up, was that the camaraderie that you had. You played with kids that you grew up playing with, and I think there's something to be said for that, for these smaller towns, comparative to St. Louis County and St. Charles County. Um, you see longevity together. You see culture being driven because there's coaches that want to buy into whatever the high school coach is doing.
Yeah.
And it's just filtering these programs, and then you're seeing it. And this is kind of how what I always thought about Florida football or Texas football, or things like that from youth they have this direction and this culture that's built, and they all buy into the same thoughts, processes. They sit and have adult beverages or whatever it is the case may be. They are literally building a culture for the town.
Yeah.
And they rally around it. That's what I loved about when we went down to Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
the Jackson tribe that was down there. They loved everything about the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's a big deal, and you're seeing it from the growth. When you look at the top five here, that's all small in my I think they're small towns, right? I know that they're not St. Louis, but
Willard is about 7 miles north of Springfield. They are a small town. It's a small community. It is. And the same with Nixa South. I know it's the Springfield Metro, but Nixa is Nixa. Willard is Willard. It's
you
much
look at it,
different.
and again, it's the Kansas City schools, it's
Yes.
Pacific, it's Borgia, it's Union. They're kind of on the outskirts of the St. Louis area.
Kearney is and Platte, Platte County is in Platte City, and Kearney is
Kearney's like way north Kansas City. Yeah.
right closer to St. Joe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, these are not it's not big town schools. Helias Catholic is outside of, it's Jeff City.
Right.
When you look at these Hillsboro, it's South County, but they're outside. And I think that's the interesting thing when you see Class 5. These guys are getting these things done. There's a lot of talent up and down this. I'm sure there'll be some things that change. Parkway Central, Parkway West, Jeff City could, you got the big arm and Jordan Martin. Jeff City could be interesting. Fort Zumwalt East, they're sitting down there. It could be interesting to see what they do. It just depends. They lost a lot. St. Dominic,
Yeah.
right?
Watch out for St. Tom. They're loaded.
Well, I love their head coach. I played ball with Kai, Coach Arell, and I know that he's going to have those guys going. One of the things that you're learning, especially when you have kids that kind of go to these schools, you're starting to see like how the open gyms are starting to work, and what they're doing to try to build the athletes up to be prepared for their high school season. And I just love that they're putting a lot of time and effort into their kids instead of just saying, go do your club thing and I'll see you in March. They are literally trying to develop the culture, and while the kids may not like to change early on, they're seeing growth.
Right.
And so when you see the growth, then after a few weeks, you start getting happy. I just love what Kai's doing over there.
Kai doesn't even have a home field right now. It's under construction.
Right.
He's got to be at Austin right now. He's got to use indoor space. So he's scrambling to try to get everything done that he needs done for tryouts without having a field. I mean, obviously Ozzy's is a field, but it's not your home field. It's different.
Right.
There's no cages at Ozzy's. So there's little things like that where he's got to find a way. How do I evaluate all these kids? How do I do this? And
how do you get your student base there? You know what I mean? You got I understand that it's a private school or whatever, and there's a lot of community commutes happening anyways. But now you're asking a kid to leave school, go to the park, go home, then go to the park, whatever the case may be. Most of the time, kids just stay at school, hang out for an hour, and then go watch the games. Stuff like that. And I think that you lose that home field advantage, even though Ozzy's, I think, it's a nice park. They do have cages there now, in the side fields, but it's not a.
They're being redone. They're re-turfing them at the moment. Yeah,
really?
Kai and I talk all the time. He's told me.
Yeah, I root for him because he's such a good dude. And sharing a dugout with him, you get to learn that. And I don't talk to him like that anymore, but. We have kids over there. So I ask him, it's like, what do you want out of your kids walking into your program? And, this is what he wants. And so that we started to try to build what these coaches are getting. And I was going to ask that question for you because some of these kids you see, working out and training and things like that. How hard is it for you to know that you got to compete against that guy, knowing that you're training them to actually beat you potentially down the road?
Well, it's tough because I think of kids on my own summer team. 2 left-handed pitchers I have shoved us last year. It was embarrassing. I mean, my players are like, Coach, I thought this kid played for you, and you have nothing on him. I'm like, guess not. I guess he really wanted to beat us because Cooper Brown and Dane Grice just shoved us. So it was, I mean, it's fun because obviously I want to get them ready for their high school season, which I think is super important for those guys and those teams. But yeah, it's not fun being on the other side of the field from them when the game starts. When the game's over, the game before the game, it's awesome. Love hanging out with them, but they're my adversary. Moment pitch one is thrown, and I do not want them to hurt me, and it's hard to keep them from hurting us. So it's even if we know certain shortcomings or powers they have, something happens when a kid is playing his club coach or his high school coach or whatever, like they got a little something extra too in their step. So
This is what I love about high school sports. I said it yesterday in our show that people. So there's a lot of people out there that think high school's dead, and it's not. And it just goes to show like the competition level. It's different, right? And so he's like, he may have a book on a guy because the summer is not the same. I don't think. I don't think the mentality is always the same. It's something about the school spirit. It's something about competition, and when you have guys like that, it just breeds something different. And I love that piece because you'd be like, I got the book on this. I know that if he throws this pitch, he's going to do this next. And then he might shock you. And then when you see him in the summer, you're going to be like, hey, do you remember that game against us when you did this? I've been telling you to do that for me for 5 freaking seasons. And then you go out and do that against me? I'm like, dude, what the heck? Oh yeah, it drives me. I got other words for it, but it drives me bonkers. It's like, I thought I had the book and you just said it yourself. It's like, I don't have the book. Something else changes about the game.
right.
High school baseball, I don't know where you're at with your athletes, but high school baseball in this state right now is awesome. And whatever you do, you got to make sure you tune into our shows, STL Today, get to the park and watch these teams because there's a lot of good athletes and you're starting to see it on the major league level are in players getting drafted out of Missouri. We're starting to get guys looked at, and it's a dedication to the athlete, to our coaching staffs, and again the culture that's built, and this is elite level. I understand that there's 2 levels, right? There's the AA level to your high level kids, but if you're chasing something, man, go watch high school baseball because these are the real
These
deals.
guys want to win. They want to win, right? And in the summer, you want to win in a short term. You want to win that weekend. You want to win that tournament, or you want to beat that team because you don't like them. In the high school season, you want to win when it matters. You want to win early so you can prove that you can do it. You want to win in the middle so you can keep that momentum going. And then you want to win when the playoffs start. And the playoffs aren't just one weekend and then the next weekend you get another chance. And no, it's single elim, right? Or I guess in the case of 5-6 in that one game, it's double elim. But man, these dudes want to win, and they know that in high school baseball, you get a chance to win the whole thing, and you never get a chance to win the whole thing in the summer. It's always some World Series. It's always some national champion. You can play in a national championship every weekend in the summer if you go to the right tournament companies, But you only get to play in one state championship, and only 2 teams from each class get to play in that state championship. That is special.
Special.
I agree.
Man, it gives you
Kudos, Dave.
Yeah, that gives me chills to think about just knowing that you might have the better team, but in one play, if you just have a brain fart, your season's over. And that's again what I love about the love-hate relationship with high school baseball because I hate being on the opposite end of that. And I had been my whole career at Rittner. We had faced guys that ended up in the state championship games. And we'd lose the district championship every single year. We'd run into Chaminade or we ran into Desmet and Justin Baxmeyer and Zimmerman and Keppel, guys that we should know if you're out there. And high school sports is just freaking nails, man.
Last year, we had one of those. Lutheran St. Charles. Your boy,
Absolutely, yeah.
And Brody Short, they got hot in
They
the
got hot at the right
districts.
time.
And rode that all the way to the state tournament, man, in Class 4. It just you're like, they won 6 games all year.
They were a sub 500 club, and they made it to the state Final Four.
Exactly. If you got talent, you got guys, and they buy, and it rolls. It can happen. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen.
No,
and that's your point.
But yeah, speaking of that, you had to bring up Andon. We worked all off season last year on going the other way. And the dude hits a freaking double off the right center wall of my team. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, why against me? What's happening here?
I just want to show you, Coach, that I'm listening.
The why. It's always cracks me up, dude. I'm like, I have a group of, he saw a group of softballers I have that are
these young ladies can swing it.
Pretty high level kids, and one of them's a pitcher for Timberland, one of them's a catcher for Troy, and the catcher from Troy hit a home run in districts off of her. So I always try to, put that together. And here I am trying to help them both become better hitters. But then I'm like,
Yeah.
How do you feel knowing that I'm trying to teach her how to hit your rise ball better?
Right.
You know, and she goes, "What?" She goes, "I'm not gonna throw a rise ball. I'm gonna throw change ups, dump it on the corner because she can't hit the outside corner." Says it right out there, like just right out in the open. Like, here's your competition. I love
Yep.
that about our kind of where we're at, those club coaches, because you got guys from everywhere, and they're
Yeah.
competing against each other. And then the last few weeks, I'm sure you went live, and so it's just something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a spirited energy. I can't wait for the Webster Kirkwood game, which I found out I have bad news on that. But anyways, I just love it.
Yeah.
I love the rivalry. It's high school sports.
And
Pete
two,
Howe.
one of the things we're doing this year, and I'm very excited because we have these two young ladies, Coley Hunt from Troy and Amelia Rasnick, and they're both high level softball players. They're going to be covering the GAC for us this year because they want to get into sports broadcasting, journalism, things like that. And so they're coming on as interns covering the GAC for us this year. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about having these ladies working with us.
That's
We got a
awesome.
couple of gentlemen. Evan Shank from Warrenton is coming on covering the GAC North. We got a young man, Joe Hartke, that's going to be covering the MCC for us this year. So we're working hard to cover. It's like this, there's so much information. You're trying to find stuff. I know sometimes I don't have it all, and we don't. We try to get as many people. That's why I appreciate Coach Wiggins coming on, dropping some knowledge on us from the south area down there, and even kids that he's just watching, paying attention to baseball. This is what we want to do. We want to cover baseball, cover these athletes, and hopefully, I know Mitch. One of these days we will get to softball. It's coming. We're working at it.
Well, there's some players in the state.
Oh yeah, yeah.
we have
softball's very
freshmen that are one of my coaches when I was at Wash U. Her daughter is at Ohio State as a freshman.
Yeah.
At Ohio State pitching well. She took Howell to state championship. I got to get a shout out to Coach Lett. This is why I think I'm here in this position, because she took me on and it allowed me to grow in my profession. And she told me to go get my education, things like that, because all I had was a junior college degree. And she used to call me JUCO on the bus because I was the dumbest person on the bus by far. But anyways, her daughter's up in Ohio State balling, and there's just a lot of good talent in general in this state happening right now. And I think it's just a lot of growth needs to be seen. So
sure, absolutely. Well, that's our top 20, Class 5. Let us know yours in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know. So, do you know who you got any picks for this trivia, Dave?
Man, I've forgotten the question already.
I know it's been on the back of your mind the whole time.
Yeah,
Four. There's four. We got one of them already.
It was Reggie Jackson was one, right?
Reggie Jackson,
Reggie
Mr.
Jackson.
October for the A's.
I'm curious to know the current one. That's the one. So is he AL NL or is he
current
NL only or AL? Probably be AL only, right?
AL and NL.
Oh, he's the dual one. Oh, snap. Okay.
Is it Max Scherzer?
No.
It's not. There's no way it's a pitcher, right?
It is not a pitcher.
It's not a pitcher.
So the question was, 4 athletes in Major League Baseball history have won 2 World Series MVPs. One is a shortstop. We already got Reggie Jackson, so Reggie Jackson's out. Mr. October, he did that for the A's.
I'm thinking of the 60s. That to me is it Brooks Robinson?
The 60s is actually way easier than you think, and you're going to hate it when I tell you. If I tell you. I'm going to try to give you hints. Greatest right-handed pitcher, one of the greatest left-handed pitchers.
Oh, in the 60s.
In the
Tom
60s.
Seaver?
No. Think who played in a lot of World Series back then.
Well, yeah, Bob Gibson.
Backyard.
No way.
I gave that away.
Bob Gibson.
I think. How do you do that? Like, it's like
Bob Gibson.
Somebody goes the greatest right-hand. Who?
Koufax?
Sandy Koufax.
I should have known that
Come
one.
on, Brian.
That's the
Right?
Dodgers.
I got the Cardinal. I got Bob Gibson, and you got Koufax.
That's Indy.
So
He's that way.
both of them, that made me super mad. Reggie Jackson was one. I'm not a big Reggie fan, so whatever. I didn't even think that. I did think Big Red Machine. I was thinking Joe Morgan. I thought Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, kind of the 70s kind of time frame, just because of who went to the
But
World
Reggie
Series
makes sense, yeah.
You got to go to the lot of
because he
World
was
Series.
there. Well, because he won an MVP with the A's and with the Yankees.
Yeah, and so it's like you have to, I'm thinking all these different things, and so
I
I
don't
went
know
to
who the current guy is.
I'm having a hard time with the current one. This is very frustrating.
former Dodger.
I knew that was the case. Oh man,
Former Dodger. Who would he be playing for? Who's former Dodger?
I know that's what I'm thinking.
Current player.
Trey Turner. No,
Current
because
player was a former Dodger, and who's won multiple in the last. Oh my gosh!
So he current Dodger, but he's
currently former Dodger, but a current player.
He's not a.
Former Dodger.
Former
But
Dodger.
he's in the AL.
Currently in the AL. So think about who won the AL World Series in the last few years.
Well, couldn't be the. I hate. Don't tell me it's an Astro. I hate.
It's not an Astro.
Don't tell me it's an Astro.
All those guys should have been fired, man. He's a right-handed thrower, left-handed swinger.
Man.
Right-handed thrower, left-handed swinger. Former Dodger. I honestly,
Also known as a shortstop.
This is embarrassing.
Also known as a shortstop? Who's the shortstops? My goodness. Winning the World Series.
Oh, I know it.
Go ahead.
You think for one more second. Think about a really good Dodger shortstop who hits left-handed now for an AL team. He's still a really good shortstop for that AL team.
Yes. He
had an older brother who played for the Mariners.
He retired recently.
Oh my God!
And also
this is terrible.
Also moved. I'm going to give him the name of the athlete that he moved out of the shortstop position to move.
Oh, Corey Seager.
Yeah, there you go.
Goodness.
Yeah. So a 13-year-old hit me with that last night.
Yeah, because he won the MVP in 20.
Yep.
Because he had that monster one with the short season with the Dodgers. And
the one that I always go to is there's 3 guys that have played Major League Baseball who bat right but throw left. Who are they?
Say that again? We're going to save that for next week, Dave. You're going to have to come back.
Oh,
man. 3
man.
guys played Major League Baseball who bat right but throw left.
Not bat switch, but
No.
bat
right and throw left. Only 3.
Well, we've held you long. We're going to do that. That's coming back, Dave. We're going to get that back. Folks, thanks for tuning in again. Push your top 20 down. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, share it out with your friends. Give us your top 20. Go check out all the coaches' previews that we got coming up. It's great information, including the one there with the head coach at Webster Groves, the Statesman, Mr. Dave Wiggins. Thanks for tuning in.
No, I am locked in on this.
Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Dave, give the pitchers some advice.
Throw strikes, boys.
It's simple. And hitters?
All you lefties hit right-handed. No, this is going to drive me bonkers. I feel like one's a Cardinal.
He's done. Hit them where they hate. We'll see y'all next time.